right, welcome to The Way It Should Be. I'm Dean.
I'm JD.
And we got a special guest with us today. His name is Matthew Sercely. He's a licensed attorney since 2009. He founded his own company to provide tax advice and planning to small businesses in 2020, I'm sorry. He is dedicated to helping entrepreneurs, solopreneurs, and side hustlers with setting up their businesses to legally avoid as much tax as possible, which is something we're very interested in.
Very interested.
While he works exclusively with those who have or are starting businesses, he has a weekly newsletter that gives more general advice to anyone that anyone can use. When he's not screwing over the government, he enjoys camping, weightlifting, and gaming. Matt, it's good to see you. I'm glad you're here.
I'm glad to be here. Thanks for having me on.
Fantastic.
So I gotta ask you this real fast: camping or overland camping, or what kind of camping do you do?
My kids are in Scouts, so mostly whatever they're doing.
Mostly, okay, all right.
But I've done car camping. I've done backpacking. I've done one survival camp out where it was like nothing but like what fits in a fanny pack.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah. I was a scout myself. I didn't make it to Eagle Scout. I got to life and then got a car and wish I would have finished, but I didn't. So
JD here, he's a big
I was
camper.
an Eagle, but women and vehicles prevented more people from Scouts than anything else.
Yeah.
We go camping every year. Me and my family. I feel like we needed. We normally take about 2 weeks and just disappear up into the mountains somewhere. I feel like for my family, I don't know how old your kids are, but mine are in their teenagers, and it's a reset that we need as a family. Just kind of get back to who we are as a family, kind of thing. It's a great time. So,
Yeah, I'm not much into camping. I'm not opposed to it. It's just he's more into it than I am, for sure.
Yeah.
Way into it.
Yeah, well, I love it. I love absolutely. I think this year we spent 2 weeks in the Gunnison National Forest, just unplugged from everything. It was awesome. Read some books, Pan for Gold. No luck there, but
yeah, that's about right. All right, so Matt, tell us what is your business? What are you into? What are you doing here?
So I work with people to set up their companies and take actions today so that when they file their taxes next year, they don't owe as much or very rarely don't owe anything.
Oh, really?
So that can start from as simple as, should you be an LLC or a partnership or something else? It can go all the way into looking at what tax credits do people qualify for. One of my favorite things is finding expenses you're currently paying for and turning them into a business expense.
oh, cool.
Yeah. That's
so
great.
for example, like everybody has a cell phone, but if you can pay for that in your business, now it's tax deductible.
Mm. So you're about trying to help the little guy get the same tax loopholes as the wealthy guys.
Yeah, I don't call them loopholes. They're how the system's meant to work. But yeah, a big part of my company is education to people that these options exist. The way of setting things up exists. You're not helping anybody by not taking advantage of them.
Yeah. My mom was an IRS agent. She retired from the IRS.
We've talked about how disappointing that is for.
It is
for
disappointing. It is disappointing. But she used to always say that your goal when you pay your taxes is not to get money back or have to pay anything in. You should be a zero at the end of the year.
Yeah,
That's ideal. It's pretty hard to do.
Yeah. I've never been able to do it. I usually have to pay in.
Yeah, I've not been very good at I've tried to do that, not being very good at it myself. So where did you are you from? You're from Texas? Did you go to law school here, or how? Some background on you there, if you don't mind.
Yeah, so I live in Louisville, north of Dallas. Run my business out of my home. Went to college at University of Dallas, located in Irving. Did law school up in Michigan. Came back, did my last semester at SMU, and never left.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah. So, how do people find your business? How's it? I mean, is it how would you? I mean, are people seeking you out? How did you come to even start such a thing?
So a lot of people find me through social media. I do come on a number of podcasts like this one to talk about my business. And then the kind of the third most common way is referrals from existing clients.
Okay.
Now, your company, what is it called? It's the Agorist
It's
Tax Advice.
Agorist,
Yeah,
yeah, Agorist Tax Advice.
Agorist Tax
And
Advice.
the
So
website is agoristaxadvice.com.
now, for people that don't know, an agorist is a libertarian. What would they Conkin would say you're like a left libertarian sort of, but trying to undermine the existing economy, the state through sub economies, right?
Yeah, so an agorist or agorist, it's pronounced both ways. It comes from the agra, which was the Greek market.
Mm-hmm.
So it's all about markets. It's all about letting the market do its thing.
Yeah.
So in general, agorists are people who are, it's like maybe there are rules against that. Maybe I should follow the rules. Maybe I shouldn't. I'm just going to do my own thing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
At some level, being a tax guy, some people think that's actually not an agorist because real agorists don't pay taxes. But no, real agorists, they look at costs and benefits, and they realize being in prison makes it hard to take care of your family.
Yeah, exactly. It's hard to advocate for liberty when you're locked in a cell.
So, are you? How long have you been with the Libertarian Party? Or I assume you kind of do a lot with them, or am I right on that?
I do a lot with libertarians. I joined the party in, let's see, 2016. But I've been a small libertarian since I was 19 or 20 years old, so over 20 years now.
Yeah, that's kind of where I'm at. I'm not even a member of the party. I'm just a small L libertarian. We just interact a lot with the big L's. He's definitely a big L.
Well, try to be.
Yeah.
Try to be. Yeah, I'm. Yeah, I love it. I mean, I love everything about it. I love all the stuff. So I definitely am more active in the party than Dean here.
Yeah, that's for sure. Yeah, that's for damn sure. So I don't know, man. Let's just walk us through what somebody with a small business would come to you, and what kind of advice would you give them?
So before that, quick, got to cover my butt warning.
Yeah.
Don't do anything because you heard me talk about it on this podcast. Because even if it works for 99% of people, maybe there's an exception for your business. So contact me or a CPA or an attorney before you do any of this stuff. But for most businesses, as long as you're making enough money, and it needs to only be about $40,000 to $50,000 a year, your very first step is setting up an LLC, and you want to be taxed as what's called an S corporation.
Okay.
And that's going to get rid of a lot of your self-employment taxes. Because when you work for yourself, you don't just pay income taxes on your income, but if you're a sole proprietor, you pay 15.3% additional tax on everything up to $160,000. As an S corporation, you can avoid paying that 15.3% on a lot of your income.
Okay.
And so say even that, let's say you avoided on $20,000, that's $3,000 you're not paying in taxes now.
Yeah, for sure.
Every year.
Yeah. Well, okay, so the company is an S corporation. So you are basically like an employee of that company then? Is that how it would be?
Right. So with an S corporation, somebody has to be an employee.
Mm-hmm.
So assuming you're working in the company, and if you're my client, you probably are, then you're going to be an employee. You're going to get a salary or a wage, but then a lot of the money you take out is going to be out in the form of profits, and you're going to avoid the self-employment tax on those profits.
Oh, okay.
But again, as a warning to anybody, if you do this wrong, not only will the IRS not allow it, but you basically guarantee an audit.
And nobody wants that.
So there's safe ways to do this. Absolutely ways the IRS will not, pay any more attention to you than they would otherwise. But if you're making like $100,000 and you're trying to pay yourself a $10,000 salary and 90,000 in profits, the IRS is not likely to allow that.
Oh, really? Okay. Huh. So how do you end up taking the profits out though? Is it like through a dividend or something, or what?
So it's called the distribution when it's an LLC or a dividend with the corporation. They basically mean the same thing. But yeah,
Okay.
that's how you do it.
Okay.
And so you're still paying income tax on that, but again, you're still avoiding that 15.3% additional tax, which adds up very quickly.
Yeah, for sure.
So what do you think what do you think average, just a rough number that you're saving your employees that aren't, or your, excuse me, your clients, I guess,
Yeah.
clients, previous, if you have just, ballpark, just kind of curious.
So I pretty much don't take somebody on as a client if I can't save them 4 to 5 grand a year. I've had at least 2 or 3 clients who were in the $20,000 to $30,000 range a year that I saved them.
Oh wow.
The median's probably somewhere in the $6,000 to $8,000 a year range.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. That's pretty good.
Yeah, especially small business.
Yeah.
That could be a new piece of equipment or whatever. Is there a business that's more likely? I mean, do you have like, are we talking about like maybe businesses that are second incomes for families or households, or is it all across the board?
I work with all types of people. Probably, I'd say 80% of my clients, like their business is their full-time thing. I've got like one married couple that they both have day jobs, but then they both work in their company. I've got a couple of other clients who, they do some stuff on the side when it's low. So some businesses, they're really busy sometimes, not so busy other times a year. So when they're busy, they focus on their business. But if it's, a dead month, they'll do something else.
So what interest a person in? I guess we call it. I mean, a tax law. Is that what? How do you get into that? Because it seems exhausting. I'm not trying to be mean. It just
No, it can be. I got involved in tax mostly because I had my own firm. And this was as a lawyer, but not doing tax law. This was something else. But I knew enough about the law and the legal system that I started learning about it and focusing on how do I make my own small business work. And it was pretty successful. I had a partner. We eventually parted ways, but I knew a lot from that. And then I got really into real estate, and I'm a real estate investor. I've got 7 properties I currently own that I rent out, and the tax savings on real estate is amazing. Like it's very possible to make hundreds of thousands of dollars a year and pay $0 in taxes in real estate
What?
if you do it right.
Really?
And like eventually you'll owe taxes, but there's even ways around that.
What?
But so basically, what finally happened was 2020 happened. I wasn't sure if my job was going to stay around because at the time I was doing personal injury, not a whole lot of car wrecks going on in 2020 for some.
right.
Right,
Yeah.
yeah.
I didn't think about that, but
So I was looking for something else to do in case I got fired or laid off or something. And I did honestly. I signed up for one of these like programs, like find out what you can do, what you're good at, whatever. And it had me make a list of just a whole bunch of things that I knew, my skills, my talents, etc. And then it was basically like I suddenly realized, wait, I know a lot about taxes, and I know that a lot of other people don't. I bet they'd pay me for that.
I bet they would.
And started probably like a lot of people do. People who knew me, mostly other lawyers, helping them get their stuff set up. And then it was December of 2020. I had my first sale to what I consider like a real customer, somebody who didn't know me, didn't have any reason to trust me. They found me through social media and they paid me.
That's awesome. Man, see, I'm jealous, man, because I talk to people like you, and it just makes me feel like such a dumb fuck because I didn't go to school. I didn't do anything that I got to rely on an income from some other job instead of myself, and it bothers me.
yeah. Well,
Well, I'll tell you, most attorneys are pretty miserable.
Are they?
So you probably were smarter to avoid it.
I don't think I could ever have gotten into law school anyway. So I barely got out of high school. I thought law school was in my future.
So do you? Is that the only kind of tax stuff do you do, or do you do other tax law? People that are already in trouble with the IRS, or do you do any of that kind of stuff as well? Or
No, I partly because I don't want to pay any sort of a target on my clients' backs.
Yeah,
Okay.
I wouldn't even take a client who's currently going under an audit.
okay,
Like once you're done with that, that's fine. But like, and if you owe back taxes, I will send you to a CPA to figure out what you owe for the past, and then you can look at hiring me. I'm 100% advice and planning. And again, what do we do now, and how do we structure things now to get the best benefit in the future?
I got you.
yeah. There seems like there's some. I mean, I kind of have a small hobby business, I guess. There's so much to that stuff, man. It scares me. All that stuff, all of it does. So I'm sure there's
All the taxes and everything.
the taxes. Yeah,
Dude,
yeah.
I tell you, man, my mom, she would never give me like the names of anybody that she was investigating, but she would tell me some stories about the kind of shit people would try to do. And dude, it's just the IRS will just fucking lay you over the table and rape you as hard as they possibly can.
I don't.
They're awful. They're awful people.
They're awful people. They're awful people.
Well, and they really take advantage of people's ignorance.
Yeah.
Like, I'm part of a couple of Facebook groups where people can post questions about taxes. And like some of the questions I get asked, it's like, I don't even know where to start. Like, you've done so many things wrong and you have so many misunderstandings about how the system works. Like, I can't help you without like spending an hour or two of time.
Yeah.
And it's like, again, like there's this common joke, right? But it's like, man, I'm so glad we learned the Pythagorean theorem in math. It really helps me during Pythagorean syrup.
Yeah, for sure.
But taxes, no, we don't know how to do taxes in school.
Yeah.
You would think that that's one thing they should teach you is you know what? I took a class. I had a class like that in high school. Guess what? I failed. I failed that class because I'm not gonna pay you taxes. I'm just not gonna do it. No,
That sounds like something.
Yeah,
It sounds like
took an
exactly
intro to
what-
business class
Yeah.
that actually covered a little bit of it in high school. But like, if I hadn't had that, I would not have known how to pay taxes when I turned 18 and got a job.
Yeah.
I'm not sure I would have known I had to pay taxes.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, my nephew, like the first year he was supposed to pay taxes, he just didn't. And it was like after the filing date, we were like, "Hey man, did you file your taxes?" And he's like, "What are you talking about? that thing you got in the mail? Yeah, you got to. There's a whole form and everything that goes along with that, dude."
Well, and definitely the government takes advantage of it because the vast majority of people, regular workers, regular people, they usually take out too much,
Mm-hmm.
and they usually are going to get a refund. And if you don't file your taxes, the government just keeps that money.
Yeah.
So I think that's some small part of it. It's like, as long as people are actually doing it and doing withholding, like the government knows they're probably coming out ahead.
Especially since they don't have to pay interest on all that money they've got. That's your money sitting there.
Yeah, and if you wait more than 3 years, it's too late. You never get that money back.
Oh, really? So you have 3
Yeah, they
years
can
to claim
come
that
after
money.
you for up to 7 years, but no, you've only got 3 years to file a late tax return to get your refund back.
Really? Wow.
Yep.
And if you don't pay, guess who? They won't pay you interest on the money that you don't get back from them. But if you don't pay them, it's a lot of interest. It adds up quick.
It really does, and like there's at least one penalty provision where it's 18% interest per year.
Oh, Jesus.
Wow.
Wow.
The only thing that stops that from being like stupidly crippling is the interest doesn't apply to the interest, so it doesn't compound at least.
Oh, well,
But
that's
it's-
good.
I mean, still 18% per year. It's bad.
That's like having a credit card almost, except for it doesn't compound. File your taxes, JD.
Yeah.
Yeah. You can be all libertarian as you want till the IRS shows up at the door.
What was it? One of the guys in my libertarian, one of the libertarian groups I'm in, he posted something. He said, "I just did the most unlibertarian thing I can think of. I did." Everybody's like, "What'd you do?" He's like, "I just paid my taxes. Just did all my taxes stuff." I'm like, yeah. Well, we live in this world.
Yeah.
So
Just we live in the world we live in, not the one we want.
It's just as libertarian as giving the robber your wallet when he points a gun.
It's pretty much exactly what it is, right?
yeah.
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 I like it when people.
If you
My
want to
mom.
be super technical, it's more extortion.
Yeah, that's exact. Yeah,
It's do this or we're going to come after you in the future.
yeah. It's not taxation is theft. It's taxation is extortion.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Which
but
is-
taxation is theft sounds better.
It does. It sounds a lot better. I used to get so mad at my mom because she was an IRS agent, and like I'd fill out applications for her, like for other jobs, and they'd call her and be like, "Hey, we want you to come in for an interview," and she's like, "What? I didn't apply for this job," and I'm like, "I did because I want you to stop stealing people's money, go earn an honest living."
Oh man. Wow. I
Yeah,
can't.
convincing people, it's hard.
Yeah.
Yeah. So are you active in the libertarian stuff in the Libertarian Party up in your area?
I'm somewhat active. I actually found you guys. A friend of mine from high school, actually elementary school,
Oh wow.
Nathan Polsky, was on your show a few weeks ago, I think.
Yeah.
A few months
Yeah.
ago.
Yeah. He's
So
a great
I
guy.
got a little bit involved in some of his stuff. I've got another friend, the guy we grew up next to. He was a delegate in the LP party last presidential election, and I helped him with some of his stuff.
Awesome.
But honestly, I'm so busy between, my business, my 3 kids, my wife. I don't spend much time on it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think that's a huge number of people who are just like, hey, I believe what you am, or what you're doing, but I'm going 100 different directions. I know I'm that way.
Yeah.
Dean's not. He does.
I don't have any kids.
He doesn't really do anything. He's just.
I just sit there and complain,
Yeah.
bitch and moan about my perfect life. I guess. Still broke. Still don't have any money, but that's my fault.
Oh man. Yeah. Yeah. So I have a question. I'm just kind of curious. So if someone, how does the whole attorney thing work? If do you pick the area that you're going to go, the area of law when you go into law school, and kind of like, I'm going to be a tax attorney, I'm going to be, family, or is it just across the board, pass the bar and then go figure out where you're going to work?
Yeah, so every law school requires you to take classes in certain basic areas, contract law, personal injury, torts, basic civil procedure. And then when you get licensed, you're licensed as just an attorney. With a few exceptions, like there's a special thing for patent lawyers. Once you're licensed, you can just practice whatever area you want. Most people, they go to law school wanting to do one thing. Almost no one ends up doing it because the things you want to do don't pay very well.
Yeah.
It's like I did go in wanting to be that constitutional lawyer defending people's rights, and that pays a lot less than almost any other job you can get.
Really? Well, I could see
we're
that.
talking a lot of places out of law school. You're lucky to make 30 grand.
Oh God.
Wow.
That's not good at all.
But there's not a lot of money in it, and it's mostly charities and nonprofits, so they do what they can. But
Yeah.
So no, I had no idea I was going to do tax law. I did take a tax class that was required in law school, and it was, I think, one of the 2 classes I got an A+ in. So there was something there. But on the other hand, if you want to get into like fighting the IRS, you're suing them or you're defending people, it's nearly impossible to get into that without working for the IRS for a couple years to kind of learn the ropes on the taxpayer's expense. Like no one's going to hire you and train you how to do this and then have you leave and do it in the private sector.
Yeah.
So I never really thought about doing it until, again, it was 15 years later.
Yeah, I was watching the TV show series. I think it's called Billions. And they're basically, that's, I don't know if you've seen that series or if either of you've seen that
Never heard of
series,
it.
but yeah, basically a lot of the attorneys in the whatever the office they're working in, they're just there for that service to go hire on eventually with some Wall Street firm or something like that but they had to, go into the civil side first.
So when you get your law license, right? Let's say you want to go be like a defense attorney, right? So you would hire on with a defense attorney law firm, I guess. And would it become like an apprenticeship type deal after that, or what?
That's how it's happened sometimes, but a lot
Okay.
of times the way you get into that is you go work for either the prosecutor's office or the public defender's office.
Oh, okay. So you learn it from the other side.
Well, it's again, you can work in the public defender's office, which at least is defending people.
Yeah.
And I mean, I tried to do that, but frankly, they had so many job applications, so few openings. It's hard to get your foot in the door unless you know somebody.
Oh. Wow.
Yeah. Which I imagine there's a lot of knowing somebody that goes, so-and-so gets so-and-so hired on here. His dad worked there, or there's connections and a lot of that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And a lot of it comes from alumni groups. So like if you went to a law school that's really prestigious, like if you go to Harvard, everybody wants to hire you because you went to Harvard.
Yeah.
I did not go to Harvard. I did not go to a top-rated law school. It was a fine law school. It was also a relatively new law school at the time. I think I was in the 7th graduating class.
Oh, okay.
So not exactly a lot of alumni to help me out.
Yeah.
Yeah, that Harvard paper gets you into a lot of places. So what would you say to somebody that won a big like Powerball lottery? How do you let's dream here a little bit. What happens? How do I cut down on the taxes I got to give those sons of bitches?
Unfortunately, there's not a whole lot you can do to avoid the taxes. There's a couple things you can. Well, for the gain of the winnings, you're going to pay taxes, and about the only way to avoid that is by giving to charity, and then you have less money.
Yeah. Well.
So like, yeah, you can give $1 million to charity. That will save you $400,000 in taxes, but you're out $1 million. So if your only goal was keep as much as possible, not the best of plans.
Yeah.
There are ways once you have the money to invest it, where at least like the gains on that should be very low tax, or again, possibly even tax free.
Really? What, like the real estate or something?
Again, real estate is kind of the gold standard of tax savings. There's some other things you can do. There's some oil and gas investments that have tax credits that, like statistically, you'll make money over the long term, but on any individual project, it may or may not work. So there's some preferential tax treatment there.
So when you're getting when these clients are coming to you, like, is it, because it's just so, like, the tax stuff is so foreign to me. It's not anything that blue collar as it gets over here. Is that what you find when you're talking to a lot of people where you're like, where they have no idea which way to go? Because if I had come to you, yeah, sorry, go ahead.
No, it's a real spread of how much people know. I mean, I've had a few people contact me, and basically it's like, I'm not going to take your money. You're already doing everything right.
Oh, okay.
I'm not going to take money just to take money from you. Go succeed in your business, and check back with me in 2 to 3 years just to make sure stuff hasn't changed. I definitely have some clients who, like, they have almost no business or tax education at all. I think because, I'm generally don't take new businesses on unless they're, doing something that I think is likely to succeed, because so many new businesses do fail. That by the time somebody does come to me, they've made enough money, they've at least learned something on their own.
Okay.
But it's definitely something, and it's why I have a weekly email that I send out, sometimes even more than that, just to like, hey, at least these people are getting some good basic training and just what some of the terms mean. And I mean, I'm a freaking lawyer, and I can't keep all the terms straight all the time. I mean, it's and some of the acronyms are just like stupid.
Yeah, I could see that. Because like if I was coming to you, you'd be like, oh, this guy doesn't know anything about it.
Yeah, that's how I'd be. I don't know anything about
So
it.
I was just, I was kind of curious where people land. So we hear a lot in the. Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
Well, sometimes that can be good because like you haven't screwed anything up yet. Like the default is never going to be good for anybody, but it's usually not going to be the worst possible situation you could be in. So like again, I can't talk about my own clients because it's privilege,
Right.
Sure.
but things I see online I can talk about. So for example, like somebody set up an S corp and then didn't pay themselves any sort of a salary or wage for 2 years, and now they're wondering what to do. And it's like, well, get ready to pay a whole lot of back taxes because there's nothing you can do. Like, but these strategies are powerful, but they're like a gun. Like if you misuse them, you can hurt yourself.
Yeah.
I got you.
So along that line, so you always hear like CEOs, like I think Bezos did it, where Amazon, he changed his salary to like $1 a year.
I think he changed it recently to 80,000 a year.
80, whatever.
Yeah.
It's nothing compared to what he should be earning.
Right.
But, so, I mean, what would stop, like, if I got a small business, why couldn't I make my salary $1 a year and then just pay myself whatever out of the profits?
So first of all, special rules apply to what's called a C corporation, what every big corporation is.
Oh, okay. It's a different
And
type.
those are always bad for small businesses because the corporation pays 21% tax, and then you pay tax on what you take home.
Oh, okay. Okay.
You have to do that to be publicly traded, which is why people do it. But it's kind of an apples and oranges thing. But for the actual rule for an S corp, the IRS says it has to be a quote reasonable wage.
Mm-hmm.
What's reasonable? Well, and you don't have to take a wage at all if you don't work in the company. If you have a business with 10 employees doing everything, then you can take all of it as profits, no salary at all. But if you're the only person working in the business, then you have to be an employee because somebody's got to be an employee.
Right.
But I definitely have one friend. This is not a client, just a friend of mine. He is an investor in a company. He's like a 20% owner. He does no work in the company at all. So he does not pay any of those self-employment taxes. He just gets his profits out.
Oh, okay.
Oh, okay.
And then his two business partners are both working in the company, and they do both get a salary. And then after their salary, they get their share of the profits.
Yeah.
So with the profits you're taking out, that's just income taxes you're paying on it, right?
Correct.
Okay.
Which is where we go to the next things you can do. So even if you have a partnership or something, you can have your own company between you and there. And that lets you start to take things as business deductions or business expenses. And again, if you can take money you're currently spending and make it before you pay taxes instead of after taxes, you save money. So one of my favorite tricks is hiring your kids. Your kids have their own standard deduction, $13,000. So the first $13,000 you pay them every year, they owe no income tax. There's even ways where there's no payroll tax on that.
What?
If you set it up right, and they're under the age of 18.
Yeah.
So if you can, start paying your kid 10 grand a year for stuff you'd spend the money on anyway.
Uh-huh.
Now you're coming out ahead. And wouldn't you know it, my 11-year-old, who's in Scouts, is my bookkeeper. And I pay them, and then they pay for Scouts.
Huh.
Yeah.
That's interesting. I never would have thought of something like that. That's crazy. And that's totally legal. There's nothing wrong with that.
100% legal. You do have to follow state law. So if you're in New Jersey or California, you probably can't do it.
Mm-hmm.
But here in Texas, they're basically like, hey, it's your family. As long as they're not operating heavy equipment, we don't care.
Wow.
And now you have to pay them a reasonable wage.
Yeah.
You can't pay, a 6-year-old $10,000 a year probably. But you can hire even your 6-month-old as a model.
Oh,
Take some
wow.
photos of them, put them on your website, pay them $500.
That's wild.
That is crazy.
That's wild. That's what you guys need to start doing.
That's why
with your
people.
business.
That's why people need guys like you.
Yeah.
That's because that is. I would
Would
never have thought of anything like
never
that.
would have thought of that.
That is.
It's brilliant.
Well, and I got the bookkeeper idea from my kid from another tax professional. And he's got a client where they did the same thing. Kid was 10. Okay, you're going to go learn how to do this software and be my bookkeeper. That kid's 17 now and is making like 50 grand a year as a bookkeeper for other businesses.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Huh.
That's.
So it's like we do this because it saves on taxes, but it's actually good. Like it's actually helpful for our kids, for our family, for society.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. Wow. That's.
Dude, Chad needs to do that, dude. He can,
Yeah. Yeah.
he's got a lot of tax deductions there.
Yeah. Oh man, yeah, that's crazy. So, you hear a lot of like abolish the IRS. You hear a lot of that from the libertarian stuff. I'm just kind of curious, or from the libertarian folks, just kind of curious, since that is kind of where your business stands on you. Are you a abolish the IRS kind of guy, in the Federal Reserve guy, or where do you stand?
I'm absolutely an the Federal Reserve. A good friend of mine referred to counterfeiting as the One Ring.
Yeah.
It's the ultimate evil power that can only be used for evil.
That's it.
Honestly, if I had my way, yes, I would get rid of federal taxation entirely. That's not going to happen. As long as it is happening, the IRS is not the worst way it could happen. The income tax is one of the worst ways it could happen.
Yeah.
But like, there's going to be somebody collecting the taxes.
Yeah.
And I mean, there was an IRS before there was an income tax because they collected the import duties.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you got to have a tax code.
So
somebody's going to have to get the money together.
And the other thing is, as much as I hate the IRS, it could be worse. Like the one good thing about the IRS is their mandate is to collect the taxes owed. Compare that to the French Revenue Service, where it's to basically collect as much tax as possible.
Mm-hmm.
Oh.
Yeah.
There have been cases where the IRS has like investigated a return, saw someone did the math wrong, overpaid, and the IRS just sent them a check back.
Wow.
Oh.
So, I don't love them by any means. But again, and by the way, some of the state revenue services do not operate this way. They are also in the we want to collect as much as possible.
Yeah.
So I guess it's devil you know versus the one you don't.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
My mom used to tell me all the time that like IRS doesn't care where the money comes from as long as they get their cut.
That's true. And in fact, I mean,
Al Capone was a good.
What did they get Al Capone for?
Yeah, she said she would tell me all the time if he had just paid his taxes on all his ill-gotten gains, they would never have gone after him. They just want their money.
Well, in his case, they were looking to go after him for anything, and they found the way to do it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
In the income tax,
right.
But no, in fact, you can pay taxes, and then on the actual forms assert the Fifth Amendment to not incriminate yourself.
Yeah. They don't give a shit where it comes from. They just want it.
Wait, hold on. Say that again. Because I'm slow.
So you could say, let's say you're a drug dealer.
Okay.
And you, for some reason, decide to actually pay your taxes. You can say, I had profits of $70,000 this year, but I can't tell you what my profession is.
And the IRS will go, great, give us our check.
Wow.
And in fact, there was a drug dealer who was not paying taxes for a number of years, obviously, who then got caught and convicted of the drug dealing and actually filed a tax return where he was like expensing the cost of the drugs he was buying. And the IRS said, no, you can't do that. And it actually went to court, and the courts are like, that's a business expense. Right?
Oh, Jesus. That's wild. That's
It's
great.
real cartel-ish.
Dude, the IRS is just a mafia, man. They just want their cut. That's all it is.
We don't care where.
It's just pay that protection money. We don't care how you got the money. Just give us our cut.
So yeah, so say protection money. Saying that protection money. Are you worried? Do you? And maybe not because you're an attorney, but are you having this business kind of helping people out through this? Is it? Do you feel like puts a target on you personally?
I don't think so. I'm so small time that like I don't think so. And I know people who do this who, I mean, there's a great guy I know. I've learned actually a lot from him. He's just not a libertarian. In fact, he's like, oh, I love taxes. I love the tax code. Great.
Okay.
But like, I mean, he's like Robert Kiyosaki's tax guy.
Really?
And like he's saving people, billions of dollars a year, and they're not going after him. And again, part of that I think is that, again, as much as I hate to admit it, when I do this, I am kind of part of the system.
Mm-hmm.
And the fact that I'm having to do it and I'm helping people be in the system, I think the government overall thinks that's a good thing. I'm not happy with that, but I just, again, like a lot of people are going to be in the system without me. I might as well let them keep some of the stolen goods.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like when Trump was running that first time, and they were like, you don't pay these taxes, and you filed all these bankruptcies, and he's like, hey man, I'm just working in the system that you set up. You set it up, so I ain't done nothing wrong.
I think that's one of the smartest things he ever said was like, you didn't pay any taxes. Yeah, because I'm smart.
Yeah. I always look at the number.
Even, I mean, again, as much as we hate the federal government, there was an early case after the IRS and the income tax came in. And basically a guy had set up his business following the rules that reduced the taxes he owed to like half of what it would have been. And the IRS actually came after him for tax evasion, saying, no, because we put it in the boxes this way and you owe more. And the federal judge said, hey, he followed your rules. He owes the lower amount. And then at some point said, we are a country founded on a tax revolt. It is actually every American's patriotic duty to pay as little tax as is legally owed as possible.
Yeah.
That's a clip right there.
Federal judge said that.
That's a clip right there.
That's fucking brilliant.
It's your duty.
It's your duty as an American to not pay taxes. As little as possible. Let's put it that way. Yeah. That's great.
Yeah, I like that.
There's a number when you look at it, like almost half of Americans don't actually pay any taxes because they get they pay like Medicare and Social Security, right? But like as far as income taxes go, because of the earned income credit and all that, about half of people in this country don't actually end up paying any taxes. And my thing is like, that's awesome. Now we just got to figure out how to get the other half to not pay taxes too. Then we're good.
Yep, we're halfway there.
Yeah, halfway there. Got to figure out the rest of it.
Yeah, I don't know what was it? Did they ever get the IRS? Was it here not too long ago? They were talking about hiring 80,000 more IRS agents or something like that. I don't know if that ever went through.
They can't find the people.
Yeah.
Oh, is that? Yeah.
Like the law got passed, but like this is not 80,000 employees. This is 80,000 analysts. There aren't 80,000 analysts out there to hire, and they're not coming out of the colleges very quickly.
Yeah.
So like definitely like the government and the IRS wants to hire more people because they know they can't audit enough people to get all of the owed taxes, but they can't find the people to do it. And even the people, again, a lot of people, they come in, they work there for a couple years, and then they leave to get onto the the private side, which pays a lot better.
Yeah.
Yeah.
When my mom,
like most of the really good ones are the ones who get out.
yeah, when my mom retired, she had people calling her all the time, asking her because there's a thing called an enrolled agent, I think is what it's called.
Yep.
Where you're a former IRS agent, and the private sector will hire you and pay you a shit ton of money to work with people that are having tax problems to solve their issues. And she's like, nope, I just did 30 years. I'm done. No more taxes.
No more taxes. Wow.
Yeah, so there are three categories of people who can give tax advice. There's attorneys, there's CPAs, and there's enrolled agents. And enrolled agents, you have to go, it's actually not just former IRS agents. Anybody can go through and apply with the IRS and take a test, and now you're an enrolled agent.
Oh, really?
It's a hard test. I know CPAs who've like taken it on a lark and failed it.
Oh, wow.
But like if you take it seriously, if you study, like most people it's anybody who can graduate college is more than smart enough to pass this exam.
Oh, well, that leaves us out.
You gonna go do that?
I know for a fact you're a dummy, and so am I.
Yeah.
All right.
Well, and it costs money to take the test too, so it's not a good idea to just do it for the hell of it.
Willy nilly, see where you
Let's
stand.
go take it. Screw it. We'll just sit down and take it. See what happens. You never know. Might know more than you think.
You maybe.
I don't know shit.
I'm
Why I haven't been audited so far, I don't know. But fingers crossed.
So with your business and say someone has come to you and they're doing they're kind of, you've got them on a plan, and they do get audited. Is that part of your business as well, where you kind of go through that with them?
So I will, as long as they're still my clients,
Right.
because I do kind of almost a yearly engagement with people. So as long as they're my client, I will assist them and cooperate with that, but I will not be the one actually defending them. And part of that comes from, again, I'm an attorney. One of the benefits of working with an attorney is attorney-client privilege. You have no privilege with your CPA. If you tell them something and they make notes, the IRS can get those notes. You're my client or even a prospective client, and you tell me something, IRS never gets those notes. But if I start defending you, there can be a waiver of privilege in there. Because, well, the stuff I'm telling them, where do you get that information from? And now maybe I have to turn part of that over to them.
Okay.
So it's kind of as a protection to my clients that I don't directly interface with the IRS.
Okay.
Same thing. I don't do people's taxes for them. Because if I do their taxes, there might be a chink in the armor of privilege. And as you might imagine, for somebody who advertises to a bunch of freedom-loving anarcho-libertarians,
Yeah.
I've got a lot of clients who have conversations with me that we don't want to repeat to the IRS.
I can only imagine.
Yep.
I know those people, and I can only imagine.
Yeah. Oh, you wouldn't want any of my conversations getting leaked to the IRS.
I'm not sure that we should even be doing this podcast with your conversations and what you bring up sometimes.
Sometimes.
Oh, man.
Well, I can't think of anything else to ask. Is there any social media or anything that people can get a hold of you, or how's the best way to get a hold of you?
So the best way is going to be going to my website, and I've got a link for your listeners.
Okay.
So it's Agorist, AGORIST, taxadvice.com/way-it-should-be.
Awesome.
If they go there, I've got a free report they can download. It's on over 60 business deductions. It's also got a couple personal deductions in there. And that'll get you onto my email list. So you'll get my weekly emails. And from there, it'll be very easy to contact me.
Okay.
I'm not great on social media. I finally have a proper Facebook page as opposed to using my personal one. I have one for Agorist Tax Advice. So if they want to catch me there, that'd be a great place too.
Okay. Awesome. Yeah, we'll get that put in there with the show notes, and hopefully some people come over and get some free advice, and then sign up for your service. Gives you some money.
And I have a lot of people who contact me, and it's like, you know what? I'm going to give you 20 minutes of free advice. I'm not going to take your money yet. Go build your business, and come back to me when you're ready for me. Because that's the other thing. Like, so many people with businesses, like they want to get everything right before they get started, so they never get started.
Yeah.
Like I would much rather you overpay your taxes by $1,000 because you did it wrong than you never made a profit in the first place.
Yeah. That's a good
So like
point.
definitely go get started. Even if you think it's too early to contact someone like me, maybe it is. I'll tell you.
Yeah.
Because I want to. I love paying my mortgage and taking care of my family.
Yeah.
But I do this because I want to help people, and I don't want to ever be the reason a business fails because it's a new business or something like that.
Here's something I just thought of. Do you help people with the state taxes as well? Because I think doesn't Texas have like a state business tax or something like that?
So Texas has some state business taxes. I am only licensed in Texas and the federal courts.
Okay.
I am working on a Tennessee license right now, partly because Tennessee is a pretty cool place too, partly because I have a lot of clients there. So I can't give anybody state-specific advice outside of Texas, but I can help them find the answers themselves.
Okay.
And I definitely do things like, okay, I don't know how your state does sales tax and sales tax exemptions, but you should look into that to see if you qualify.
Yeah.
Same thing, like Texas has a great homestead tax exemption. Some other states have that too. So it's like, hey, look into this. I don't know if your state has it. I don't know how to do it, but here's things you can look at.
Right. Okay. Awesome.
Yeah. Yeah, man. Thanks for coming on here. It's this. I'm like I said. I'm so illiterate when it comes to the tax stuff. So all this stuff, some of that was crazy. I would have never thought about the kid, the kid thing.
Never thought about
and,
that.
I've got like 3 employees in my house right now, so I didn't even know. But anyway, man.
Yeah, and the great thing is you can even pay your kids more because you know them and you trust them. Or
I don't know if I trust
because hey, they're my kids and nobody else can hire them anyway, so they have to take what they get.
I don't know if I trust them too much. I definitely hire them, but there's going to be cameras. I'm just playing.
All
right, man. Thanks again, and good luck with it. And we'll put all the link stuff in the comments on the video.
Okay. Well, thanks so much for having me on.
Oh, no problem. Thank you. And if we ever make any money with this podcast, we'll give you a call. Help us set it up. All right. Thanks. Have a good one.